The rap community is split. Fans are in utter amazement, and emotions are stronger than ever on the internet right now. The unexpected and terrible passing of Chicago drill pioneer Fredo Santana in 2018 rocked the nation. Insiders have always hinted that there was more to the story than anyone was willing to acknowledge. Despite the headlines blaming seizures, lean addiction, and health issues, rumors erupted in the years that followed, including private hospital visits, tearful late-night discussions, and unsettling information that was never reported. Some of Fredo's friends think influential people in the industry wanted his story forgotten, while others say he was battling problems no one saw coming. Furthermore, startling new material has emerged that presents a terrifying image of Fredo's last days and has the potential to change our understanding of everything. The reality about Fredo Santana's death may be more sinister than you ever thought, leaving fans in shock and the family split. Hold on tight, for what we are going to discover is not merely a tragedy, but the hidden reality that led to the demise of a legend. We must go back in time and examine the world that Fredo Santana was living in order to fully comprehend the significance of his untimely death. Fredo was not simply another Chicago-based rapper. He was one of the pioneers of the drill movement. Fredo's name was well known in the industry and on the streets, alongside Chief Keef, Lil Reese, and the rest of the group. Behind that cold gaze was a man who had been engaged in personal struggles since day one. Despite his raw voice and intimidating demeanor, Fredo is frequently remembered by fans for his iconic features, timeless mixtapes, and contribution to the internationalization of Chicago drill. However, most people are unaware that Fredo was also the unseen glue that kept many partnerships together. He was more than just a rapper. He was also a buddy that others turned to in their hour of need, a cousin, and a father figure to some. In interviews, Chief Keef himself has stated that Fredo had a different vibe, in a world that rarely offered him stability, loyalty, and respect. He desired these things more than celebrity or power. But there was a price for that commitment. Constant pressure to perform, to be relevant, and to handle never-ending feuds are all part of the rap game. Like so many others in the drill scene, Fredo led a life that was characterized by frequent travel, late nights, and the use of prescription and lean drugs to deal with the stress. Fredo wore it until it wore him down, and it became ingrained in the community as a hazardous badge of pride. According to close friends, Fredo frequently complained of exhaustion, chest aches, and a sense that his body was shutting down. A studio engineer shared a terrifying story about Fredo leaving a recording session and sitting in silence in the hallway. The engineer recalled, "Guest stared at the floor for like 10 minutes. He simply shook his head and said, 'I'm tired of this.' When I asked him whether he was good, at the time, no one gave it any attention, assuming he meant to say that he was tired of the fake people and the industry. In retrospect, however, those statements had a far more profound significance. There were many warning signs in the weeks before his death. Doctors had reportedly informed Fredo that his health was fast declining when he was admitted to the hospital months prior following a seizure. Nevertheless, he dismissed it in typical Fredo way, telling followers on Instagram Live that he had no fear of dying. Once, with his face partially covered by a hoodie, he declared, "If I go, I go," originally intended to demonstrate toughness. That moment now seems like a foreboding premonition. Then there were the rumors, friends claiming that Fredo was suspicious, that he thought people were planning his downfall, and that the business wasn't being truthful about what was going on behind the scenes. We may never know if they were the result of real worries or the effects of severe drug usage. It is evident, however, that Fredo's world was going completely out of control, and those closest to him were aware that a horrible event was imminent by January 2018. There was a lot of tension surrounding Fredo, according to reports. Family members pleaded with him to slow down and to pay attention to his health. However, as subsequently disclosed by an insider, Fredo never wanted to look weak. He didn't want his admirers to believe he was weak. Fredo continued to move forward, in spite of the warning signs, until fate ultimately caught up with him, because it wasn't the picture he created. Fans believed they had heard everything there was to know about Fredo Santana's death. But then a startling new development rekindled the debate and sent the internet into a tailspin. It began subtly with an enigmatic 4-second audio snippet posted in the middle of the night to Twitter, even though the audio was unsteady and muffled. Admirers who repeatedly listened to it thought it sounded uncannily similar to someone close to Fredo whispering they knew he wasn't going to make it. The clip went viral in a matter of minutes, as thousands of admirers attempted to figure out who the voice belonged to and what it represented. Hashtags like #FredoSetup and #UntoldTruth started to trend. Did it allude to the physicians who alerted Fredo to his deteriorating health? Or was it something more sinister, a suggestion that those in his immediate vicinity may have disregarded or perhaps taken advantage of his illness? Detectives on Twitter didn't waste any time. On TikTok, frame-by-frame analyses of the audio surfaced, with users asserting that the voice sounded like someone in Fredo's own social circle. According to one widely shared post, the video was even shot during Fredo's last hospital visit. One fan wrote on Twitter, "Pay close attention to the background. A monitor beeping is audible." Others weren't persuaded, claiming it was altered or possibly artificial intelligence AI developed, but the harm had already been done. It had sown the doubtful seed. The following morning, DJ Academics jumped on the story and streamed live to tens of thousands of people. "Yo, this is crazy if it's real," he exclaimed, repeatedly rewinding the video. Someone close to Fredo knew he was dying, but they're denying it as if they allowed it to happen rather than offering assistance. That's crazy. His remarks merely fueled the flames, and soon YouTube was overrun with conspiracy videos that analyzed every audio clip in detail. The account vanished minutes later, but screenshots had already been taken and shared on rap blogs. Even stranger, a few hours after the leak, an Instagram account without a profile picture shared a mysterious story that said, "Funny how legends fall." But not everyone wants the truth out. Supporters were certain that this was related and not a coincidence. Then the most terrifying part began. Although no one could verify whether this lengthy film was real, the rumor alone was enough to carry the story forward. A Reddit fan claimed to have a second, longer, and more damning clip in which the same person purportedly says, "Don't tell his mom. Let it play out." Millions of people watched TikTok videos in which producers performed dramatic reenactments of what they thought happened in Fredo's last hours. The fan base was divided by the chaos, citing medical records and Fredo's own admissions regarding his seizures. Several contended that his death was solely the consequence of years of drug addiction and physical deterioration. Others, however, insisted that something darker was taking place, something that those close to him were keeping from us. One admirer wrote on Twitter, "It doesn't add up. A young man who is so wealthy and surrounded by so many people simply passes away while sleeping." No, someone was aware of something. The speed at which industry insiders stopped speaking raised suspicions about the leak. Rappers who had posted heartfelt odes to Fredo after his passing and who had formerly yelled his name out on records abruptly declined to respond. One reporter even asserted that their last-minute interview with a former colleague of Fredo's was canceled. The journalist noted, "They said it was too sensitive. There was more drama to come." A few hours later, astute supporters saw that Fredo's cousin and closest buddy, Chief Keef, had discreetly unfollowed 2 accounts connected to Fredo's previous administration. Although no one publicly spoke, this was a significant deal in the realm of online rumors. What caused Sosa to unfollow them immediately following the leak? One Reddit user inquired. That isn't arbitrary. That is pressure. The most bizarre turn of events occurred when Lil Durk, who had previously paid tribute to Fredo on several occasions, liked a mysterious tweet that said, "Not everyone who cries at your funeral cared while you were alive." The like was removed minutes later, but not before screenshots appeared on fan pages. There was a flurry of theories. Was Durk attempting to disparage someone in Fredo's group? Or was it merely a coincidence, a mistake? The coincidence idea didn't sit well with the fans. Instagram's Explore page, meanwhile, became a battlefield. Conspiracy theories, Fredo homage pages, and lone cloud chasers all promoted their own versions of events. Some claimed to have unpublished text messages that showed Fredo had pleaded for assistance just days before he passed away. Others were hushed despite claiming that hospital employees had disclosed private documents. Even TikTok became involved, although being solely based on conjecture and photoshopped screenshots. One video depicting a timeline of Fredo's last days received 500,000 views in a single day, and then an old tweet from years ago reappeared at the height of the commotion. Fans quickly realized that this wasn't just about personal problems or health concerns. It was something bigger, messier, and possibly even connected to the industry itself. The tweet, which purportedly came from a studio engineer who worked with Fredo, said, "Sometimes it feels like these labels would rather see you dead than help you." Even mainstream media sources were compelled to acknowledge the intensity of the mania. In an article headlined "The Fredo Santana Theories That Just Won't Die," a hip-hop blog highlighted the unfollows, the deleted posts, and the dubious activities involving Fredo's network. Although nothing was confirmed by the story, fan theories gained even more credibility because they were being covered by reputable websites. Here's the real kicker, though. Only a few days before the leak, a burner Twitter account was created. When it posted the ominous statement, "Check the hospital cameras," it vanished into thin air. The account's owner and legitimacy were unknown, but the tweet ignited conspiracy circles like wildfire. Fans wanted to know why there was never any video of Fredo's last hospital stay. Did someone make sure it would never be seen, or was it because there was nothing to see? Emotions were out of control by this point, not simply elevated. Fans were left tearing each other apart online. Friends remained silent, and the family was split. Some claimed it was the start of a cover-up unraveling, while others referred to it as clout chasing. One thing was certain, though: every erased post, every cryptic like, and every burner account helped to lessen the sadness of Fredo Santana's passing. Fans were devastated when the news of his death first surfaced in January 2018. However, that heartbreak descended into complete pandemonium as the leaks, the removed posts, and the mysterious signals began to circulate. Emotions were strong within Fredo's inner circle as well as the fan base. Once a tragedy that the entire town grieved together, it has now descended into a whirlpool of blame, distrust, intense personal strife. Lil Baby's group was the first to show signs of emotional fallout. Yes, even artists who were not directly associated with Fredo had something to say. "I'm good off, everybody," Baby wrote in a mysterious tweet a few hours after the audio leak went public. Assuming Baby was alluding to the dubious treatment of legends and business politics, fans immediately made the connection. The timing was sufficient to start a fire. Whether or not it was about Fredo, Offset's team attempted to remind followers of their relationship by reposting an old video of them and Fredo laughing in the studio. But rather than healing, it felt forced and phony. "You can tell in his eyes that he wasn't happy," one fan wrote in their comment. The comment received thousands of likes before the post was discreetly removed. That ain't love, that's guilt. Nearer to home, Fredo could see the division in his own family. "Stop with this fake SHT," Mana Cousins sobbed while responding to claims on Instagram Live. "You guys had no idea what Fredo was going through." Fans weren't persuaded, though, because you guys don't know the demons he had. Comments like "you're hiding something" and "tell the real truth" were common in the discussion section. The situation became so heated that the cousin abruptly terminated the live broadcast with tears in his eyes and the grumble, "This ain't right." After being remarkably silent during the first commotion, Chief Keef eventually shared a video that completely shocked viewers. "I told y'all Fredo wasn't built for this lifestyle forever," he continued, his voice laden with emotion as he sat in a poorly lit room. Peace was what he desired. He desired a family. However, this game prevents you from having both. That video quickly gained millions of views on Twitter and TikTok. Supporters divided into two groups. One group praised Keef for being honest, while the other group accused him of subtly disparaging anonymous members of Fredo's inner circle. Then there was the mother of Fredo. She said, in a rare statement, simply, "My son deserved better." The fan community was rocked by those 4 words alone. From whom is it better? From the sector, from his companions. Among those who professed to love him, the comment sections became battlegrounds as fans analyzed every interpretation. Family and friends weren't the only people affected emotionally. The entire culture was affected. In the comments, fans who had previously united to honor Fredo's music were suddenly engaged in conflict. Young followers wept as TikTok stitches replayed Fredo's last Instagram Live, in which he looked exhausted and pale. Others vehemently called for responsibility, saying, "We lost Fredo, Mac Miller, and Juice WRLD. When will you guys quit acting like this has nothing to do with drugs?" Tributes at concerts become a disaster. When a rapper took a break from his performance to dedicate a song to Fredo, hecklers yelled untold truth. From the throng, videos from the incident went viral, revealing a support base that was not just in mourning, but also calling for justice. Sources said that Fredo's crew was disintegrating behind closed doors. A few members ceased attending events. On Instagram, others unfollowed one another. The idea that they had something to conceal was bolstered by the fact that some even deleted their entire accounts. "It's divided now," an insider told a blog. While half say to keep silent, the other half want to clear the air. Everyone is being torn apart by it. The fracture was too obvious for even the media to ignore. Fredo's legacy at risk as family divided over theories and fans demand transparency after deleted posts were headlines. And the comment sections beneath these articles were not only depressing, but also hateful. While some followers criticized the media for making money out of Fredo's passing, others lashed at his circle for abandoning him. However, the fans themselves may have caused the most devastating backlash. Supporters who had been there since the beginning of Fredo's drill shared videos of themselves crying into the camera and pleading for clarification. Fredo's most well-known quotes were pieced together in one viral TikTok, which concluded with the phrase, "He warned us. No one paid attention." In a week, that video alone received millions of views, demonstrating that Fredo's death was still an open wound years later. It was more than just losing Fredo by this point. It was about unsolved questions, concealment, and betrayal. In addition to being a personal tragedy, the emotional impact caused his death to become a cultural reckoning that left his family, friends, and admirers more divided than ever. A brand new surprise emerged just when fans believed the chaos had reached its climax. And it was the kind of discovery that made it difficult to distinguish between reality and fantasy. Suddenly, a speech tape produced by AI started making the rounds on the internet. The more people listened to it, the more it seemed eerily real. Even if it first sounded fake, debates erupted on Twitter. The hashtag Fredo warning began trending as supporters demanded an inquiry into who uploaded the clip and why. One side argued that it was real, saying, "You can hear the pain in his voice. That ain't AI." Another side retorted, saying, "Bro, this is 2025. Anyone can fake anything." However, the drama didn't end there. A blogger asserted that someone purportedly associated with the hospital staff sent them a direct message leak. In the messages, an unidentified user offered his studio engineer $5,000 in cash in return for wiping footage from Fredo's most recent recording session. Within minutes, screenshots of the direct message thread became viral. One fan wrote, "There may be more to this than just drugs. Someone wanted him to be quiet." It was all connected in the most bizarre ways by quick conspiracy stories. They brought up the fact that before he passed away, Fredo was allegedly working on a tell-all project, a raw video that exposed the industry's perils and the individuals who made money off of addiction. After receiving 300K views in a single day, one YouTuber claimed that if he was about to expose something, that would explain everything. Then there were rumors of sabotage at the label level. According to a purported insider on Reddit, Fredo's label knew about his deteriorating condition but decided not to take action. They didn't care if he got better or worse, the message said. Thousands more retweets and stitches followed the gut-wrenching statement. Dead artists are easier to sell than living ones. Fans started to think that Fredo's passing was a business decision rather than only a tragedy. Never one to get caught up in the drama. DJ Academics responded live on Twitch, saying, "Yo, if labels are really moving like this is crazy. Consider killing one of your artists in order to profit from streaming." His response only served to fuel the fire, with commentators swarming the chat room yelling, "Expose them." To make matters worse, TikTok investigators unearthed previous interviews in which Fredo said he was reducing his lean intake in an effort to improve his health. "I got a son now, I ain't trying to die young," he said in one tape. Which added to the unnerving nature of the latest AI clip and DM leak. Why was Fredo gone so quickly if he wished to live? Supporters didn't think it was a coincidence. Then came yet another shocking revelation. A hacker collective said they had access to hospital records that had not been made public. With the comment, "The truth is in the margins," they shared a blurry photo of what appeared to be Fredo's medical notes. The post was swiftly taken down, but screenshots continued to circulate, supporting the idea that official records were being concealed or changed. Fans were angry by now, not just depressed. Comment sections become battlefields. One side called for interviews, documentaries, and complete transparency in order to demand justice. Conspiracy theorists were accused by the other side of disrespecting Fredo's memory, regardless of the viewpoint. Everyone understood that the narrative was far from done. Fredo's death was not merely a personal tragedy. Rather, it was a part of something much larger, much darker, and far more diabolical than anyone could have ever imagined. Assuming the AI footage, the DM leak, and the rumors of label sabotage were true, it's more akin to an open mystery. Things became risky when reports of a face-to-face confrontation started to circulate, as if the AI clip and DM leaks weren't already chaotic. During a late-night appearance at Atlanta's notorious Magic City strip club, members of Fredo's former circle reportedly ran upon affiliates of another crew. According to several witnesses, a scene of extreme tension replaced what ought to have been a typical night of celebration. Hours later, hazy mobile phone footage was discovered. In the video, two groups were seen standing shoulder to shoulder, their voices rising, and security was making a valiant effort to keep them back. One statement stood out clearly amid the confusion: "Don't touch him until it's handled." Fans went crazy as soon as those words appeared online. Who made the statement? What was meant by handled? And did it have anything to do with the rumors that Fredo had died? The internet didn't care if the audio was garbled and the video quality was shaky. Investigators from TikTok slowed it down, improved the sound, and claimed that the remark was being yelled by a member of Fredo's previous administration. Others asserted that it belonged to another Chicago clan, which led to fresh rumors that Fredo's demise may have been caused by street-level conflicts. Overnight, social media became a battlefield. Fans claimed that the altercation demonstrated that there was unresolved business related to his death, which caused #FredoSetup to trend once more. Do you guys actually believe this is pointless? One user posted a tweet: "This is cover-up beef, not just beef." To make matters worse, two burner Twitter accounts that had been sharing mysterious stuff about Fredo for weeks abruptly stopped tweeting. Suspicion was only increased when they vanished shortly after the video was made public. On Reddit, a fan wrote, "They got scared. Whoever was in charge of those pages had too much knowledge." Even popular bloggers were unable to ignore the cacophony, despite industry insiders' attempts to minimize it. Magic City confrontation adds fuel to industry fire. One headline teased: "Blurry footage sparks new questions in Fredo Santana mystery." The more media outlets covered it, the more the conflict became its own thing. The disturbing detail followed. A furious argument was purportedly overheard at Magic City, during which one man yelled, "You think this ain't connected? Do you believe that people are unaware?" Despite being unsubstantiated, the claim went viral in comment sections, with fans taking it at face value. Fans of Fredo, meanwhile, were in shock. They have lamented his passing as a terrible health-related loss for years. They were now witnessing the real-time development of sabotage, treason, and even possible violence rumors. Some pleaded for an end to the frenzy, claiming that Fredo's legacy was being disregarded. Others maintained that the truth finally eking its way to the surface was precisely what Fredo would have desired, and the lack of response from those concerned, deafening. Neither side officially discussed the altercation. Millions of people watched and analyzed the video, but the people who were there pretended it had never happened. Fans now have more questions than answers as a result of that silence, which only served to heighten the mystery. The storyline had changed entirely by this point. The passing of Fredo Santana wasn't merely a 2018 tragedy. Years later, the unsolved story was still developing and bringing both new and old acquaintances into the public eye. Following Magic City, fans were persuaded that something was simmering beneath the surface and would soon blow up. Amidst weeks of turmoil, disclosures, and conflicts, an odd occurrence occurred. Quiet. The same insiders, affiliates, and rappers who had been going live with half confessions, like dubious tweets and posting cryptic messages, abruptly stopped talking. Just a nothingness. No more subliminals, no more suggestions. And that silence was more powerful than words for the supporters. Offset's cousin, who many thought was the voice in the audio leak, deleted all of his Instagram accounts. Fans were shocked when his page disappeared overnight. Why erase your entire account if you are innocent? One person wrote on Twitter, after the screenshot went viral, suspicion was placed on a person who had already been the subject of innumerable speculations. Chief Keef then made a move. Sosa quit tweeting completely after weeks of expressing passion and making subtle jabs. For the first time in years, the often outspoken rapper had nothing to say as his timeline froze and his stories went black. The community was rocked by that stillness. What did Fredo know to keep him silent if Sosa, his blood, wasn't speaking? His blood wasn't speaking? The response from the industry was even more dubious. Reporters who had hinted at exposes on Fredo's last days abruptly stopped doing so. An unnamed writer said, "I was told to back off the story." That admission, which was disclosed in a Reddit thread, only strengthened the notion that influential people were attempting to silence the discussion because it was too messy. Too risky. Fans watched as Fredo's name became popular one day and then vanished the next. Some claimed that algorithms were stifling his tale since posts concerning him appeared to disappear more quickly than usual. Conspiracy accounts cried that the business was attempting to obliterate Fredo once more, while TikTok producers vowed that their videos about him were being shadow banned. The silence was even more eerie within Fredo's own circle. Former pals ceased recognizing one another. Silently, people who used to party together unfollowed one another. The mysterious hints that had been coming from the burners vanished. Everyone seemed to be waiting for the next action. Waiting for someone with the courage to speak up. Fans were most frightened by that. In the rap game, silence typically indicates the imminence of something more significant. A diss track, perhaps. An explosive interview, perhaps. Perhaps there will be another leak that reveals everything. Fredo's legacy, however, remained in a state of uncertainty up to that point, caught between loyalty, affection, and unresolved issues. The silence was strange. Fans were holding their breath instead of grieving. It was the type of silence that creates pressure rather than tranquility. And everyone was aware that pressure eventually explodes. So here we are. One thing is certain. This tragedy is anything from straightforward. Regardless of Fredo Santana's legacy as a Chicago drill pioneer, the tragic truth of his health issues, the startling leaks, the erased proof, and the enigmatic encounters that keep his narrative alive. We've witnessed mysterious Instagram postings disappear, terrifying clues from burner accounts, and even AI-generated videos that made it difficult to distinguish between fact and fiction. One of the most disturbing secrets in hip-hop is the unspoken reality about Fredo Santana's death, which left fans in disarray, family devastated, and friends split. Was his death just due to years of addiction and health issues? Or was there something more sinister going on? Secrets? Treachery? and politics in the industry that the world was never supposed to see. His circle's silence just serves to stoke the flames, making us question whether the truth is being shielded or whether it is simply too hard to confront. However, what are your thoughts? Was there a larger scheme going on behind the scenes? Or was Fredo Santana just a victim of his own troubles? We'd love to hear your theories, so please share them in the comments.